Hey, everybody. Fascinating and important topic today as we talk about transforming healthcare operations with AI powered insights at Teletracking. Michael, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Evan?
Great. Thank you very much. Great to see you here. Before we dive in, maybe introduce yourself, a little bit about your background and what teletracking is and does exactly.
Cool. Yeah, so I lead the product management organization here at Teletracking. I've been here about 4 years. I've been in healthcare probably about 15 in total.
Mm,
So I actually got into healthcare through the pharmacy side, working at McKesson on robotic automation in pharmacies.
mm.
And teletracking is different space. So we're more in the movement of patients through their care journey. So it's not the delivery of care itself, right? We're not a clinical system that people use to deliver care, but making sure they're in the right place, they have access to the right things that they need, whether that's equipment or people, whatever it is.
Well, important topic as we're all patients and caregivers in
We are.
different ways. So, from your standpoint, what are the biggest pain points hospitals and healthcare systems facing today? There are many,
Yeah.
I guess, but what's top of mind for you and how do you help?
Yeah, we think one of the it's a historic problem that they've always been battling is length of stay. So
Hmm.
one of the challenges is, and if you look at it over the long term, I mean, going back to the 60s, people used to be in a hospital for 20 plus days. That was not
Wow.
uncommon. Today, you're averaging around 5 to 6 days in terms of length of stay. But every hour, every day that you can shave off of that is another patient that you can get in a bed. So that's less patients that are waiting in the ED to get admitted or get a step down from PACU, whatever that looks like. But freeing up those beds, which are essentially their capacity, is a big part of what we focus on.
That's interesting. I've read you've been compared to the air traffic control for patients, which I'm not sure if that's a great analogy these days. I apologize. But what does that mean exactly? What's the technology behind that that makes that even possible?
Yeah, so if, our solutions kind of break down into a couple different categories. One is around access. So how do patients get to the site where they're going to get the care that they need? And
Mm,
so that's where the air traffic control comes in, right? When somebody's got to be in the tower directing traffic to keep everything safe. So on, last year we processed almost 3 million transfer cases through our system. So those are patients getting to some location for critical care, for acute care that they need. Whether that's being transferred from another hospital that can't provide the services that are needed, or somebody that was in an accident, or whatever the circumstance is, making sure that they're getting to the right place that will have the services and the equipment that they need to get the care they need. So that's kind of the air traffic control part. But when you think about the
mm.
analogy, if you carry it a little further, when the plane gets to the gate, what's the big thing they have to do? Clean the plane, get new passengers on board and get it
Mm.
out, right? So that's the other part of how do you ensure that capacity is being fully utilized. If every plane sat outside the gate for 20 minutes or half an hour while being incredibly frustrating, if you're the traveler, that's also money, right? There are patients that are waiting to get on the next flight to get to their destination. So the other part of our solutions are helping ensure that those seats are turned, those beds are turned, that the work is getting done so that the next patient can be ready to go.
Yeah. And enter AI. You're a big user, developer of AI technology. Maybe talk
Yep.
about how your models are trained and developed, and what are the kinds of inputs that are essential to get the results that you're describing.
Yeah. So if you think about it, at a hospital level, we train our models based on the facility's own data, the unique aspects of how they operate, the services they provide, hours, whatever it is, all of those things that are unique to that site need to be factored into their models. If we trained at even a system level or regional level, you would get probably a lot of discrepancies. It wouldn't be meaningful in the care setting where you're trying to affect change. So we do train everything at the facility level. While we're not a clinical system, we do rely on clinical signals. So we just launched a new product recently called Decision IQ one of the things that we're doing is helping prioritize discharge activity, and
Mm,
orders are an important part of understanding, how ready is a patient to go. And by orders, I mean, do you have outstanding labs or imaging or whatever it might be, right? Those are all signals of where you are in your care journey.
amazing. And so you also leverage generative AI in different scenarios. How do you separate the challenges of Gen AI hype in the public sphere versus delivering, impactful results in hospital use cases? What there's a big difference there, I think, you're probably grappling with.
Yeah, I think and this is true of any technology, right? If you're not
Mm,
solving real world problems that people are willing to pay for, whether it was generative AI or robotics, then you're probably, in left field and need to think about it. But when you think about generative specifically, it's moving so fast. It's really somewhat overwhelming for our customers to think about. But I think there are categories of where that can be applied that you will see adoption much sooner than others. So, for example, there's actually a company based here in Pittsburgh where we're located called a Bridge, which is all about clinical documentation. So,
mm,
doctors and nurses didn't go to school to sit in front of a computer and type into forms. So if technology can listen to their conversation with a patient and capture the necessary documentation, it saves them a ton of time and a lot of frustration of having to do that work manually. You take that to more of the decision support space, which is kind of where we are today. It's going to probably be a little bit slower. While technology could technically do a lot, we have a lot of conversations with our customers. I'm sure you've heard the term human in the loop,
mm.
right? How do you keep people part of the process? Because I think there's a level of trust that needs to be established for them to be able to turn over some of that decision making to technology, especially given what they do, right? They're caring for people's lives. So there's real consequences if you get it wrong.
Indeed, really important work being done there. And when it comes to use of AI in general, can you share any unexpected benefits, surprising results, anecdotes that you've seen so far from using AI in hospital operations?
A couple things. One is we one of the things we've seen is kind of the an unexpected ability to like increase just things like situational awareness by
Mm,
us predicting things, sharing those predictions in a certain context around when they're making decisions about, let's say, discharge activities. By sharing that information across all the different service lines or disciplines within the hospital, you save the nurse from, spending an hour or so on the phone calling 6 or 7 departments to make sure
mm,
their patient gets the x-ray it needs, their patient gets the lab work it needs, because everybody knows what you're trying to do. Um, Probably the other thing is just the tooling itself, our ability to move with pace as these tools and technology mature it is ultimately going to change the landscape for everybody.
it's a fantastic opportunity all around. You also recently announced a partnership with Palantir, who are known for their analytics and AI horsepower. What's that all about? What are you hoping to deliver together?
Yeah. So if you think about it, we've been doing this for 35 years and we understand a lot about how hospitals work and how they should work, and how you can optimize different kinds of processes. A byproduct of that is we were forced to be technology providers, right? We develop tools, and as the industry progress, we progress with it. And with Palantir, we now have access to a best in class platform. They have developed some amazing tools that free us from, some of the things that just aren't value added in our world. The value of our team thinking about Mongo databases and, all those AWS services that people talk about, that there's very little value add. If we can outsource that
Mm,
work to someone like a Palantir and build on top of their platform, which has incredible security, has incredible, data manipulation and AI capabilities, it just lets us move faster and expand into other areas.
it should be an amazing game changer for hospital capacity management. And you must be also looking at a lot of other technologies beyond AI, from the Internet of Things or 5G, digital twins. I'm just imagining the opportunities to influence hospital operations. What else is on your radar, if you could share a peek
Yeah, so
into that?
the product I mentioned just a minute ago, Decision IQ, that actually is built off of a computational twin framework that we partnered from a partnership with a company actually in the UK called Faculty. And that lets you, if you think about it, predicting things is interesting, but when someone's making a decision, how do you understand the trade-offs of that decision, the consequences of that decision? And so what their technology does, and I'm sure you're familiar with computational twins, they've been around for a while and used in aerospace, Formula One, all these industries, right, where these systems are governed by the laws of physics. So you can predict how those things would perform in different conditions. Hospitals are made of people. They're very unpredictable, right? But you can use data to observe how they perform, how they behave, build that into a computational twin, and then ask questions like, if I prioritize, my ED over my PACU, how's that going to impact my overall flow through the hospital? Today, they just try things and see what happens. So this would give them the chance or the opportunity to contemplate different scenarios and different ways of behaving and operating.
Amazing. And speaking of, planning for the future, any advice for hospital leaders, healthcare IT leaders in preparing for all these emerging technologies, this wave of transformation, even implementing solutions like yours? What are some of the best practices you've seen to get things to work?
I think there's a couple things to that. One is we're seeing a lot of customers that really weren't prepared. So they're putting governance councils in place to evaluate things that are trying to come into their environment. And that takes time, right? You're introducing friction to the process. So the customers that have been able to move faster are the ones that leverage things that they already have in place. So if I have a data governance council, I already have an established set of people that are used to working together. They have a way of working. Can you add AI to that, right? So instead of spinning up something completely new to your organization and getting that going, leverage things you already have in place. And the other thing is just you have to establish a level of trust with this, just like any other system, right? So people, a lot of it comes back to data and traceability. And if people understand what's underneath and how it works and what it's doing, that will go a long way to speeding adoption.
Oh, so exciting. My only advice would be, please hurry up. We all need this for our family members, loved ones, friends, colleagues who we, visit in the hospital and see the reality today. What does the future look like in the next year or two in terms of patient flow? What are you excited about as you look at your roadmap and what's next?
Yeah, our mission since we started the company, I wasn't here 35 years ago, but it's remained consistent. No patient ever waits for the care they need, right? That's what we're trying to do. And I think what excites me and what we're focused on is, just like I talked about with the bridge, how does technology move into the background to let clinicians focus on care delivery? Technology has kind of got in the way of a lot of that. So you have a physician sitting in a room with a patient, but they're looking at their computer screen typing. That dynamic needs to change. It needs to change every aspect of care delivery. So that's what we're excited about.
Well, amazing work. Congratulations on all the success, and onwards and upwards.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And thank you. And thanks everyone for listening, watching, sharing this episode. Be sure to check out the new TV show on techimpact.tv on Bloomberg and Fox Business. Thanks, Michael. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Evan.